Produce Donation Training by the Center for Ecotechnology and the Pacific Coast Food Waste Commitment. An important responsibility of grocery stores is to ensure edible produce that isn't sold gets eaten. When produce is found in surplus, donating these nutritious items helps combat food insecurity and avoids wasting good produce. Food insecurity, or the state of being without access to enough food for an active, healthy life, is widespread in the United States. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, over 34 million people in the United States are food insecure. This includes 9 million children. The COVID-19 pandemic has heightened food insecurity among families with children and communities of color, who already faced hunger at much higher rates before the pandemic. On a societal scale, food insecurity leads to lower worker productivity, higher public education costs, increased healthcare costs, and more frequent emergency food distribution. The cost of food insecurity in the United States has been estimated to be over $167 billion annually. The organizations that strive to fill the gap in food access and nourishment, food banks, distribution sites, community centers, soup kitchens, shelters, and more, come in all shapes and sizes and fill various niches within the food rescue and distribution landscape. Organizations that retrieve or receive excess food from donors are sometimes called food rescue organizations. Food rescue organizations may deliver donated food directly to clients or to other organizations, such as the mentioned food banks, food distribution sites, or shelters. The EPA Food Recovery Hierarchy, which ranks the actions that businesses can take to prevent and recover wasted food based on their environmental, social, and economic impacts, prioritizes food donation as the second most desirable form of reducing food waste, beneath food waste prevention. On a national scale, rescuing surplus food for donation prevents 2.3 million tons of food from being disposed of in the U.S. annually. This equates to 298.7 billion gallons of water saved, 2.7 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions reduced, and most importantly, 3.9 billion meals served. The greatest portion of food donations to food rescue organizations comes from grocery stores. When grocery stores have perishable produce items in surplus, they can be directed to those who need and will enjoy it free of cost. To make this possible, grocery stores partner with food rescue organizations who pick up donations on a recurring basis. You can help your team work with one or multiple food rescue organizations to create a pickup schedule for donated food on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. When donating food, sometimes businesses worry that legal action could be taken against them. The Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act, encoded in federal law, is intended to ease any reluctance that grocery stores may have towards donating fresh and edible surplus food. The law protects businesses that donate apparently wholesome food in good faith to nonprofit organizations, encouraging perfectly good food to be utilized and eaten. Food donation best practices for your store to consider include scheduling frequent pickups, maintaining relationships with food rescue organizations, and establishing a culling procedure. Scheduling frequent pickups prevents unpredictability and maximizes the freshness of donated foods. Working toward established relationships with food rescue organizations through consistent contact makes it easier for food rescue organizations to streamline their pickups from other businesses in the area. A standard culling procedure is also beneficial. Culling is setting aside products with imperfections that don't affect their overall quality. A culling program that is accompanied by education and training at your store can greatly benefit your food donation program. Most produce that is not sold is likely donatable. When deciding whether to donate produce, it's good to keep the following guidelines in mind. Do not donate any products that show mold, decay, fungus, or insects. For example, mold can spread quickly in berry containers. Alternatively, if only one lemon within a bag displays mold, the moldy item can be removed and the rest of what's in the bag can be donated. Do not donate any products with discoloration or off odor. Do not donate products that were kept out of refrigeration if normally kept refrigerated. For instance, bagged salads, which are required to be kept refrigerated to sell, should still be kept refrigerated to donate. Here are some produce items that would not be donated and would become compost instead. If it's unclear why any of these items cannot be donated, please contact your manager for more information. Consider donating an item if 80% or more of it is usable. This could be a pineapple with a small bruised portion that could easily be removed by someone later. Also consider donating items that have damaged packaging, but not before inspecting the contents of the package first. A good rule of thumb is, if you would eat something yourself or feed it to your family, that it's safe to donate. It is important to observe food safety standards when handling and storing produce for donation. Produce should be stored for donation at the same temperature in which it was on display or stored. If there is a date on a produce item's packaging, which may be the expiration, sell by, best by, or use by date, only donate on or before this date. If applicable, be sure to follow your store's scanning procedure and scan any produce to the correct donation code. Donations should be stored in similar containers in a designated location. Commonly, bins of a uniform color or type are used, such as banana boxes. All donation containers should be clearly labeled for donation, or the storage area holding them should be marked for donation. Clear and consistent labeling is important for store staff, food rescue agencies, and health department officials. Before adding produce to the containers, it is important to inspect the containers for cleanliness and wipe them down if necessary. When preparing donation containers, place heavier items in first and carefully stack lighter, more fragile items on top to avoid bruising. For example, when placing a package of grapes and a bag of apples in the same container, the apples should go beneath the grapes. Whenever possible, put like items together, such as hard or root vegetables with the same, berries together, etc. No trash or empty bags should be placed in donation containers. The top left container displays haphazardly tossed produce items that could result in damaging, bruising, and inefficient stacking. The bottom right container shouldn't have an empty bag in it. The top right and bottom left containers are ready to go. When produce items are not suitable for donation, they can be placed in waste containers designated for food material or your store's food waste processor. Food rescue organizations can make the logistics and tracking of donations straightforward. Every food rescue organization has their own set of food safety guidelines and specifications for what they can and cannot accept. It depends on what they have the use and capacity for. Food rescue organizations may use the store's containers or bring their own containers and transfer the items over. The organizations may also inform your business of how many pounds are donated on a monthly or annual basis, which can be translated into tax incentives. Once the guidelines of the food donation partnership are established, donating food is easy and rewarding. Food donation benefits your community, your environment, and yourself. Donating food helps feed our community during a time of great food insecurity. By feeding people instead of landfills, food donation prevents additional greenhouse gas emissions. It utilizes all the resources that went into producing the food towards the best possible purpose. As food donors, businesses are also eligible for tax incentives. These incentives can make food donation even more economically beneficial, in addition to the positive societal impact. Thank you for playing an important role in helping nutritious produce items reach our community members. CET developed this resource in collaboration with the Pacific Coast Food Waste Commitment.